All right. So now we're going back to the basics. This is almost as basic as you can get in Algebra 1. Whoops, let me get my microphone hooked up here. That should sound a lot better. All right, we're getting back to the basics. So what we're going to do is talk about how to add and subtract numbers. All right. Let's start with the easiest possible situation we can have. Let's use 3 and 5. 3 plus 5. Everybody knows what that is. Without a calculator, what is that? It's positive 8, isn't it? So now look, this is a positive 3, and this is a positive 5. Do we have to write the positive in front of it? No, if it's positive, we don't have to write the positive in front of it. It's almost a waste of time. You could if you wanted to, I guess, but that would be a waste. But here's what the rule says. The rule says when you're adding, okay, when you're adding and they have the same sign, do they both have the same sign in this situation? Yeah, they're both what? Both positive. So when they have the same sign, you add the numbers and you keep the sign. All right? So 3 plus 5 is really basic. I get it. But it follows the rule. You're doing addition. They're both positive. So you add the numbers together and you keep the sign. What is the sign for both of them? Positive. So what's my answer going to be? Positive. But what if you did this? Now, remember what the rule says. Are we adding? Yeah, we are adding. Okay, there's your addition right there. So we're adding numbers, and they have the same sign. All right, I'm going to write the rule down in a second, and you need to write it down. So you're adding numbers with the same sign. So what does that mean? You just add the numbers together, right? Just forgetting the negatives for a second. So just add the numbers together. What do you get? 8, right? And then you keep the sign. So what's the sign for both of them? It's negative, so it's what? Negative 8. So here's the rule. So when this is for addition. Okay, so for addition, when you have the same sign, what do? You add the numbers and what? Keep the sign. All right, that's about as easy as I could possibly explain it. All right, so when you have the same sign, this is for addition. When you have the same sign, you add the numbers and you just keep the sign exactly the way it was. Everybody with me on that? Okay, that was pretty easy. And that usually is pretty easy. What if you're adding numbers with what? Not the same sign, but with different signs. Good. All right, so what if I have different signs? This is where it gets a little bit confusing for some people. All right, the same sign part usually isn't a problem. It's when you have different signs. All right, so let's do that. Let's use the same exact numbers. Negative 3 plus positive 5. Now, we have different signs now, don't we? The first one's negative, the second one's positive. So they're different signs, but we're still adding. Agreed? This is still for addition. So we're still adding these together, but what does the rule say? Well, it doesn't say anything right now because we haven't said it. But here's what the rule says. Instead of adding and keeping the sign, what we're going to do is we're going to subtract the two numbers. Even though this is an addition problem, we're going to subtract the two numbers from each other. So subtract, and we're not just going to keep the sign because they're different signs. Which sign do we keep? That's right, the one that's bigger. Okay, keep the sign of the larger number. Okay, so this is a little bit more involved. So when you have different signs and you're adding, you actually subtract the two numbers from each other. Again, forget the signs for a second, all right? Just subtract them. What would it be? 5 minus 3, correct? So what is 5 minus 3? It's 2, okay? But what sign? Is it going to be negative 2 or is it going to be positive 2? Why is it going to be positive 2? Because 5 is bigger than 3. That's right. Everybody see that? Since 5 is bigger than 3, we keep it and it's positive. We don't have to put a plus sign in front of it. If you just put a 2, that automatically means that it's positive. You got that rule? Let's do another one, though. Let's go, let's do this. Let's go negative 5 plus 3. Figure out what that one is in your head without using a calculator. It's going to be negative 2. Very good. All right, did you apply the rule? Yep, different signs, right? So what do you do when there's different signs? Just subtract the two numbers. Forget the negatives right now. Just subtract the two numbers. 5 minus 3 is 2. But now, what's bigger, 5 or 3? 5 is. Okay, now some people might say this. Technically, 3 is bigger than negative 5, isn't it? Okay, but again, we just forget the negatives for just a second, all right? So just look at the actual numbers and forget the signs. I got a 5 and a 3. Which one is the negative, or which one is the bigger number? 5 is. 5 is negative, so my answer is going to be what? Negative, because we keep the sign of the what? The larger number. 5 is bigger than 3, so we keep the sign that goes with the 5. So it's a little trickier, all right? Out of all the rules we're going to do today, well, actually, that's the only 2 rules we're going to do today, because the next lesson we're going to do multiplication and division, all right? So we're only doing addition. But we got to do some subtraction, though, in a second. I'm going to show you basically just one rule for subtraction, okay? Do we have this down? I don't have to do any other examples, do I? I think that pretty much covers it. Now, what if you had this? What if you had 5 minus 3? Now, this is subtraction. All this was what? All this was addition, wasn't it? Okay? Now we're going to do subtraction. But there's only really one rule for subtraction. And that rule is we're going to turn it into an addition problem. All right? I'll tell you what the rule is right now. And it's pretty easy. I'll show you what I used to say, but then I've had some students the last couple years tell me this other little saying that they probably learned in middle school. Probably Mrs. Larson teaches it. So if you had her, maybe you've heard it there. But here's what I say. This is the rule that I say. Subtraction. When you do subtraction, basically it means add the opposite. To me, that's kind of simple. I mean, it doesn't rhyme. It's not a little cute saying, but it's simple, it's short, it's to the point, and that's all you need to know. You add the opposite. Let me show you what that means. This is a subtraction problem, right? But what did I say we're going to do? We're going to take every subtraction problem and make it into a addition problem, okay? But we don't just turn it into a plus, because 5 minus 3 is not the same as 5 plus 3, is it? No, of course not. So what we're going to do is we're going to add the opposite. So I take that minus sign. Now watch very carefully. Everybody look up here. Don't write anything down just yet. Look, everybody look up here. Somebody wake him up and tell him to look up here. So we're going to take this minus sign and we're going to change it to an addition sign. See, that's the adding part. But we got to add the what? The opposite. What's the opposite of positive 3? It's negative 3, so I make that a negative. Now, look. Now we go back to our addition rules, don't we? Everybody see that? So now I've got an addition problem. I just apply this, one of these rules. Which one of these rules am I going to apply? The same sign or the different sign? The different sign, that's right. And we've already done this one. What's 5 plus negative 3? Well, remember, you subtract the numbers. When they're different signs, you subtract the numbers. Okay? So 5 minus 3 is what? 2. And you take the sign of the bigger number. What's bigger, 5 or 3? 5 is. So what is it? It's positive, so my answer is positive. So 5 minus 3, you knew that. Oops. Let's try this again. 5 minus 3, you know that's 2, don't you? All right? So we didn't really have to go through that rule, did we? All right? Because you know what 5 minus 3 is. But I'm showing you that it works with something as easy as that. They're not always going to be that easy, obviously. All right? So we're going to do a couple other different subtraction problems that you're going to have to apply these rules for. All right? So again, add the opposite. What was the little cute saying that you learned maybe before you came in here? You're close. Let's do it the other way. Add a line, change the sign. Okay? And everybody likes that because it rhymes, right? Sign and line. Add a line, what? Change the side. The sign, sorry. Change the sign. I mean, that's cute, you know, because it rhymes. Mine doesn't rhyme, but that's kind of more, this is more me. I'm just like short and to the point. I don't care about the rhyming part of it and the cutesy part of it. I'm just like quick and to the point, right? Add the opposite. Boom. Add the opposite. This says add a line, change a sign. So what does that mean? It means add a line. What does the line mean? That means add that line right there to make it positive. Okay? And then change the sign. We got to change the sign of it now. So we change it to a negative. Do you see that? You can remember either one of these. I don't care. If add a line, change a sign, if that makes you remember it better, that's fine. That's all it counts. All right, let's do some examples. We'll use the 5 and the 3 again that are just a little bit different. What if we did this? What if I said negative 5 minus 2? So it's a little bit trickier than the first one we did. Well, let's apply the rule. Let's apply my rule. Well, they're both the same rule. What is it? Add the what? Opposite. So I take that minus, I turn it into what? A plus. But then I got to take the opposite of this. What's the opposite of positive 2? It's negative 2. So now look at it. Now it's an addition problem. Now I can go up here and apply my rules for addition. What's the rule? They both have the same sign, don't they now? Negative and negative. So what's the rule for the same sign? Just add them and keep the sign. It would be, yep. And there you go. Yeah, so it looked like this. It looked like that originally, right? Everybody see that? So it looked like that originally. I changed it to this right here. Because, well, to tell you the truth, once you get used to this, and once you start getting good at this, you should just be able to look at negative 5 minus 2 and know what it is. Okay? Sure. Yeah, all these things on the worksheet, we'll have a quiz, at least a couple quizzes, and a test on it. Okay? I don't know when yet. I haven't even decided that, but we just got started. So we'll probably do maybe like 5 worksheets before we take a test. All right? And this is only our what? 3rd one? All right, so we got a couple more to do. All right, everybody okay with this? Okay, add a line, change sign, or just add the opposite? Which one do you like better? Yeah, I like add the opposite. But if you like add a line, change sign, it's fine. It does the same exact thing, right? All right, so I add the opposite. What if I had this? What if I had 5 minus negative? Oh, why did I put 2 here? I was using 3 the whole time, wasn't I? Let's go back to the 3. What if I had that? It would. Exactly right. Because here's our minus. So what do? Add the opposite, right? So I'm going to add. So I change that one to an add. And then I got to take the opposite. What's the opposite of negative 3? It's positive 3. So now it just turns into what? Just positive 8. That's right. It's just 5 plus 3. See how easy it is? So it started off looking like this. All right. And there you go. So when you see 2 negatives next to each other like that, what can you just do to them? Just make them both positive. Okay? Just add the opposite. That's the key, I think. Just knowing add the opposite. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. All right, let's do one more. Okay, one more, and then maybe we'll... Now, they're not all going to be 5s and 3s. You understand that. Okay, they'll be bigger numbers and stuff. But the rules are exactly the same. And sometimes you'll have to do more than just 2 of them, right? They'll give you 3 or 4. I'm looking at the worksheet right now. They start off just giving you 2, and then they give you 3. Then they give you some decimals. They give you some fractions. So we'll do a couple of those before we're out of here, okay, so that you get the idea. Let's do one more, though, that represents these rules. Let's go this, negative 5 minus negative 3. That's about all the negatives that I could put in there, okay? Can't put any more negatives. That's about it. So let's do this one. So it's going to be, you're exactly right, negative 5 plus 3. So we add the what? Opposite. Add the opposite, right? Or just make them both positive. No. Remember what the rule is for subtraction. What is the rule when you have different signs? I'm sorry. Yeah, you subtract the numbers first, okay? So when they're different signs, you actually subtract the 2 numbers from each other, then you keep the sign of the larger number. So again, let's take a look. They're different signs. This is negative, this is positive. So we subtract the 2 numbers. What's 5 minus 3? It's 2. And then what's the sign of the bigger number? It's negative. So that is what? Negative 2. Again, this is what it looked like originally. Okay, so that's what that looks like. I added the opposite. Then I said, okay, this is an addition problem, but one sign is negative, one sign is positive, so they're different signs. What's the rule for different signs? I actually subtract the 2 numbers from each other, then I take the sign of the bigger number. After a while, you start doing a bunch of these, it just starts just flowing. I mean, you can almost just look at them and tell, okay? Let's do some from the worksheet. Is that all right? So here, who wants to pass out the worksheet? Who said me? All right. So pass those out. Give me the extras. Okay. What are we at here? 10:30? Okay, so let's not do the ones with just two of them. Actually, let me show you what they do. They do something a little bit different on the worksheet. So let's look at number 5. Come on, pass them out. Just give them to the students and then have a seat. Come on, come on. All right, this is number 5. Now, they put parentheses here. I didn't put parentheses on any of these things, did I? Okay, so some books would just write this, -8 minus -2. All right? Some books would just write it like this, and that's fine. But sometimes they put them in parentheses. The parentheses here really aren't doing anything. A lot of times in algebra when you see parentheses, and we talked about this on that last lesson, what if I had this? 3 times, let's not put a negative. What if I did this? 3, then parentheses 2. What does that mean you're doing right here? It means multiplication, doesn't it? Okay? Does this mean multiplication? No, because look at the 3. What's in between the 3 and the parentheses? There's nothing. Okay, there's nothing in between. There's no sign. There's no plus. There's no minus. Okay, but what's in between these two things that are in parentheses? A minus. That means it's not multiplication. A lot of students get mixed up on this, so I want to make this clear. Okay, at first people think, oh, parentheses, that means you multiply. But no, because there's a sign in between the parentheses. If there's a sign in between the parentheses, that means you either, in this case, you subtract, or it could be a plus and you add. Everybody with me on that? If it was me, I would probably write it like this. So this is the way they write it on the worksheet, like this. Okay, I would take it and change it to this. I just think it's a little easier to work with. Okay, it's up to you. Now, did you get an answer yet? What's the answer for this? Everybody try it. I'm not going to do it for you. You try it, and then I'll show you if you got it right or not. Neil. Okay. Yeah, I'll give you 15 seconds. It shouldn't take any longer than that. 15 seconds. I'll give you a chance to get it, and then I'll see what you guys got for answers. You got 5 more seconds. Okay. What do we get? -6. Anybody else? -10. Anybody else? You got 84. I got 3 different answers. I got I haven't said it yet. Any other choices? Let's do it. Here we go. What are we doing here? Is this an addition problem or subtraction problem right now? Well, right now it's subtraction, okay? So what do we do for subtraction? We do what? What's the 3 words? Add the opposite. So we add what? What's the opposite of -2? +2. Now it's addition, right? Now it's an addition problem. So what's the rule for addition? Oh, different signs. We got different signs. One's negative, one's positive. What's the rule for different signs? Subtract them. Okay, so let's subtract them. What's 8 minus 2? And then take the sign of the larger number. It's -6. So that's my answer. It's -6. Anybody get -6? A few of you did? Okay, good. You getting the hang of it now? A little bit? All right, let's do another one with just 2 of them. Let's do number 12. So number 12, again, they put it in parentheses. But does that mean every single time you see something in parentheses, it means you multiply? No. All right, if there's a sign in between the parentheses and another parentheses, or the parentheses and a number, then you're going to either add or subtract. So what is this? This is not multiplying, is it? It's just what? -6 minus 24. Now, it's a subtraction problem. So what do we do with subtraction? We what? Add the opposite. So I add, I take that subtraction, turn it into an addition. What's the opposite of positive 24? It's -24. Now look at it. Now we got an addition problem. We got 2 rules for addition, don't we? Okay, one with the same sign and one with opposite signs or different signs. What do we have here? Do we have the same or different? Same signs. So what is the rule for the same signs? Now we add them together, and then you keep the sign. So what's 6 plus 24? 30, and we keep the sign. What's the sign? It's negative, and then that's negative 30. I just took that, I made it like this because that kind of looks like what we taught earlier. Okay? No, because you keep the sign, right? They're both negatives. So when you add two negatives together, you'll always get a negative because you always keep the sign, right? If I add two positives together, I'll always get positive. If I add two negatives together, I'll always get negative. Everybody with me? All right, we got 5 minutes. We've got a few more that are a little bit more challenging than these right here. These basically just, it was just a rehashing of what I taught you before. Let's do this one. Let's do number 16. I'll tell you what, let's do 14. Nope, I lied. That's too easy. Let's stick with 16. Let's do 16. 14 is super easy. I don't have to bother about that one. So negative 7 minus negative 2 and then minus 9. Okay? Everybody work on this one. Come on, everybody try it. I'll give you 30 seconds. It's right here. It's number 16. I'll give you 30 seconds. Go. 30 seconds. Time's running out. Nope, 30 seconds. Come on, everybody play along. Everybody try. Most of you are. There's a few that aren't. If you have your head down. We'll wait till everybody finishes, and then we'll, at least wait till the time's up. I'll give you extra 5 seconds, so that's 10 more seconds. All right, time's officially up. All right, Dylan, what'd you get? You got 0. All right. What'd you get, Neil? Positive 4. Anybody else? You got 0? You got 0? Let me make sure I wrote it down right. Okay. That's not what I got. I haven't heard the answer yet.
Negative 18.
It's not negative 18. Negative what? Anybody get another answer? Are there any other answers? Just try it. No?
Negative 23.
Are you just yelling out numbers now? No. Let's do it together. Here we go. Watch. What? You just saying things or you just did it? He's actually right. Okay, so negative 7. Now, you don't have to do what I'm doing right now. All right, but I don't know. To me, that just kind of gets rid of the clutter, of the parentheses. So let's do the first two first, okay? So we'll do negative 7 minus negative 2, get an answer for that, and then we'll take that and we'll subtract a 9 from it, okay?
When I did it, I accidentally made the non-positive.
Oh, you made it plus 9? Okay. So what are we going to do first? Let's just do the negative 7 minus negative 2. So what are we going to do here? What's the rule? It's subtraction, so we turn it into an addition, right? So what's 3 words? Come on, quick. What's the 3 words? Add the opposite. Thank you. Just waiting for you to respond. So let's take a look. Again, all we're doing is these two right here. Forget the minus 9 at the end, okay? Everybody look. Everybody look. Shh. So this is an addition problem, and they're different signs. What's the rule when you have different signs?
Keep the larger sign.
Well, what do you do first before you keep the larger sign? You subtract them. You subtract the two numbers from each other. Forget the negative and forget the positive. Just subtract the 7 and the 2. What's 7 minus 2? 5. What's the sign of that going to be? It's going to be a negative 5 because 7 is bigger than 2. All right, so we keep the sign. So we subtract the two numbers, we keep the sign. You with me? And then minus 9. All right, and now we do one more time. So we got to do 2 things instead of just 1 like these other problems. There's a subtraction. What's the rule? Add what? Add the opposite. So now they're the same signs, aren't they? So what do we do when they're the same signs and you add? You add them up and you keep what? Keep the sign. And the sign is negative, and that's how you do it. Okay? All right. Now, they got some fractions at the end, okay? Maybe tomorrow, I'll tell you what, let's just do up to 22. All right, so do up to 22. I know there's a game tonight, but I've done like 3 of these for you already. Okay, and you're only doing up to 22. These should only take you less than a minute apiece. Okay, so just do up to 22 because if I what? What? Yeah. If you exactly right. If you keep the notes, and that's why I told you to write notes. If this thing right here, that's super important. All this right in here, all that stuff right there is super important. If you know how to do those things, you can do these. After a while, you're going to get so used to it, you're not even going to have to refer to these rules anymore. You're just going to be so used to it. All right. Let's wait till the bell rings. Okay. Let's not gather by the door. Let's have a seat. Let's have a seat. By the way, you guys did great today. I really appreciate it. The way the way you conducted yourself today, wasn't that more enjoyable than me yelling and screaming at you? Okay. I enjoyed that. I really did. Okay. And as far as a math class is concerned, I think you can enjoy this, right? All right. At least you enjoy the atmosphere, right? Nobody was goofing around. Everybody was doing what they're supposed to do. Still have a few with their heads on the desk. We'll try to fix that. But you guys did really great. I appreciate it. Let's continue. Let's continue that, okay? Yeah, I'll see you tonight.